what are some common misunderstandings about stormwater products that you, or objections that you might have heard over the years?
Yeah, so a couple things here. One is they're not going to solve my problem. They're not going to be hardy enough, sturdy enough to, hold the debris, to, filter the heavy metals. And I can just tell you from personal experience, there's very few cases that we just can't solve a problem. And we even have, we've had certain scenarios, let's say at an industrial site, let's say they've got like 2,000 parts per million of some kind of heavy metal they're trying to reduce. And we know one pass through our filter could reduce 40% of that. So now they're, let's say 1,200, but they need to get down to, 200 or 300, just throwing numbers out there. We could follow that line back. It's called a train of treatment. And we can help show them, okay, well, how about we put some socks in your parking lot to catch the sheet flow that filter that before it gets to the basin? Or how about we put a bunch of filtration media in front of your downspout? So you've got an additional layer of filtration. So by the time we follow it all the way down to the basin, we could get you down below the benchmarks, they call them.
Well, I just to add on to what CARY said, yeah, I mean, the treatment train is huge. I mean, we make it clear to people this is the last line of defense. It's not going to solve all your site problems or your facility problems. And, if it's a massive job site or, with slopes on both sides of a highway, you're not going to solve all the problems by putting a catch basin filter at the end. It's when all that other stuff fails, it's going to protect. And it still will protect because stuff gets through there. So the total site approach is definitely a thing, and we're all really aware of that, and a lot of our products complement that and keep that stuff out of the drains before it ever gets to it.
So here's a couple more things, Mario. If I'm going to pinpoint products, here's some common misconceptions. So first of all, if you look at our just basic fabric filter, our drain guard, people say we're going to cause flooding, right? It doesn't have enough flow rate and it'll get backed up, etc. Well, first of all, the SOP is to make sure it doesn't get filled up to the brim with debris and sediment and get all clogged. And Dave, I forgot what the rule is. Maybe check it every 30 days, or maybe their permit has a specific increment to look at that filter and clean it out to comply with their permit. But so that's one thing. Well, we know that if you keep that thing updated and it's, the bag is in place, we have, most of the products have overflow ports built in. So even if you have a crazy rain event, the whole theory of this thing is the water gets into the bag or the filter, and then all this debris and sediment kind of settles down to the bottom of the bag portion. Well, then even if that water flows up and spills out of the overflow ports, it's not bringing that debris and sediment with it because that debris and sediment has settled. And so you rarely will get flooding unless you really just don't maintain it adequately. So another thing to be aware of is industrial facilities. They typically have to have a stormwater permit to release their stormwater per the state, Department of Ecology, etc. Well, if they can prove that they don't actually have a way of polluting that stormwater, they can get what's called a no exposure clause. And so what that means is if they've got no forklifts or heavy equipment running around their parking lot, let's just say, they're a distribution facility, but they've got, 6 barrels of drums and, a couple totes of some cleaners or solvents that they've got to keep. They just don't have room for it inside. They've got to put it outside. So it actually kind of trickles into our other line of products. It's not quote unquote stormwater products, but it really does have a big impact on stormwater of the facility. So those drums or those totes that they're storing outside, if they put them in what's called our outdoor storage sheds, we call them a hard top plus, where they actually can store those drums and they can store those totes in our fully enclosed spill containment systems. They can show their local municipality that they have no way to release any pollutants or contaminants and actually not have to keep up with their annual stormwater permit. So that's a pretty cool way to save customers time and money.